Hi, Jean. Thanks for answering a couple questions of ours.
Sure, no problem.
One thing that we actually wrote about pretty recently over on Money Crashers is the idea of making your own baby food versus buying food as both a way to save money and also for some nutritional benefits, getting a lot of those preservatives and other things out of the food. What are your thoughts there on both the financial perspective and saving money and also the nutritional side of things?
Well, I'm not a nutritionist. You'd have to ask my friend Joy Bauer about that. But I do think from the perspective of having raised, two kids of my own, that the sooner you can get them eating what you're eating, the more cost effective it's going to be. And I was really surprised as my kids were growing up, once we introduced them to whatever we were having for dinner, if we got it into some sort of a mushy enough form, they were so excited to be part of the party rather than eating something that was coming out of a jar. And so from the perspective of making one meal rather than making 3 or 4 as a way to save money, I'm all for it.
Got it. Great. That makes a lot of sense. Another question that we had is, and I think everyone has when they're expecting a baby or the baby starting to grow up, is whether to put them into daycare or to hire a babysitter so both parents can work if they were previously full-time working parents, or should one parent stay home for a year, 2 years, just take the maternity leave? What are your suggestions there if both parents are working parents and long-term want to maintain careers? I guess both from a financial and career perspective there. What do you suggest? Do you have an optimal setup?
I think if both parents want to maintain careers, then maintaining a steady foothold in the workplace, whether you do it part-time or full-time, and you may want to scale back a little bit when your kids are born, but maintaining that foothold, I think it's important. I've seen an awful lot of parents who have stepped out, have a rough time stepping back in, and I think that that's particularly true in this economy where the period of extended unemployment is making it more difficult for parents to, or people in general, to find that next job. As far as the daycare versus the babysitter versus the other options, it's so regional, Andrew. You really have to look at what's available in your community and figure it out that way. But for me to try to give sort of national guidelines, I think would be really, really difficult.
Okay. No,
we do know, though, from the BabyCenter survey that we just completed, that daycare is right up there with the costs that parents feel are really tough to bear.
Okay, so you put that right up on that list.
It's a big one. It's a big one. It comes every single month, and it is difficult. And so you want to look at doing your research and finding the most cost-effective solution that you can find in your hometown.
Okay, makes a lot of sense. And then I guess kind of continuing on there, as that child or your children grow up and they can start maybe taking care of themselves, you don't have to have someone take care of them. There's obviously another expense.
How old are your kids?
Huh?
How old are your kids? Because mine are teenagers, and sometimes they still need supervision.
Yeah, that's a good point. I guess what I was getting at is, as they do get older, you kind of get one issue, which is that caring for them, feeding them off the plate, but now you have to start thinking about college. And my question there is, when do you start building a college fund for your kid, assuming you do have that disposable income to put aside for the kid? Do you start that before the kid's even born in his first few years? I mean, as early as you can?
Yep.
What's the strategy there? And also, what's the strategy for building that fund? Do you just set aside a set amount every month?
The strategy is as early as you can, and then with habitual, regular contributions. Here's what we know. We know that your own retirement contribution has to come before your college contributions for your kids, because there is financial aid out there for college. There's no financial aid out there for retirement. But once you've satisfied your own retirement needs, you open a 529 college savings account and you make contributions the same way you make them to a 401k, which means every single time you get paid or every single month, and you elect to have the money pulled out of your account electronically so that you don't have to make one good decision after another. You can make one good decision one time and know that the money will just continually flow. And I've had 529 accounts for my kids for a really long time, but I still enjoy signing into my New York Saves account and checking the balance because the money just goes. So every time I look, it's higher and higher and higher because I'm continuing to save.
Gotcha. That's definitely a good option, and I really like how you stress the importance of prioritizing retirement before you start saving for your kids. So that's a great point. One other thing that we've kind of discussed and delved into over on Money Crashers is the idea of used clothing.
Yep.
What are your thoughts there? Do you think that's not a good route to go for a newborn, a young one, or do you like the idea of hand-me-downs or going to thrift stores? Or
I love the idea of hand-me-downs. My kids lived in hand-me-downs. My children are the youngest of 12 cousins on their dad's side of the family. We got loads of hand-me-downs and we handed the stuff down to their cousins on my side of the family. Hand-me-downs are fabulous because you buy something new for a baby, and yes, I understand there are a few new things. You want to bring them home from the hospital and something that's never been worn before. I totally get that. But the minute they throw up on something and you realize you're going to be changing this baby 3, if not more times a day just to keep them in clothes that are fairly clean, the idea of having brand new things really starts to become less and less attractive.
Got it. That makes a lot of sense. Well, I know you have a really busy schedule. I thank you very much for taking some time out and answering some of our questions.
No worries.
On behalf of BabyCenter, and this is great stuff, and good luck, and thanks for everything. Keep up the great work.
Thanks, you too.
Okay, thanks, Jean. Bye.
Bye.